Converting units of time. It's very important to know the difference between seconds, minutes and hours and all the other units of time. What are the different units of time? There are many. On this list you can see we've got hours, minutes, days, years, weeks, centuries, millenniums, months, decades and seconds. What is the smallest unit of time to the largest from the list that you just saw? What do you think the order is? We have seconds first, followed by minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, and years. Then we have decades, which is a period of 10 years, followed by centuries, which is 100 years. Then we have millenniums, and millenniums are thousands of years. So 1,000 years is a millennium. How do the units of time compare? How many seconds are in 1 minute? There are 60 seconds in 1 minute. How many minutes are there in 1 hour? There are 60 minutes in 1 hour. How many hours in 1 day? There are 24. How many days in 1 week? There are 7. How many whole weeks in 1 year? There are 52. And I say whole weeks because there are a few extra days in the year that are outside that whole 52 weeks. How many months in 1 year? There are 12 months in 1 year. Units of time continued. How many weeks in 1 month? Well, this is where it can get a bit tricky because there's only 1 month of the year with exactly 4 weeks in it, but it gets 1 extra day in a leap year. All the others have at least 4 weeks and 2 or 3 extra days in them. How many days in 1 year? There are 365 days in 1 standard year, but every 4th year is a leap year. There are 366 days in a leap year. The reason for that is because the Earth rotates around the Sun in an orbit, and 1 year is the time it takes for the Earth to travel all the way around, but it doesn't get back to the same spot in exactly 365 days. It gets back there in 365 and 1/4 days, which means over 4 years we end up with 4 extra quarter days for the Earth to get back. So 4 quarters makes 1 extra whole day. So every 4 years we add 1 full day instead of having 365 and 1/4 days in each year, which would be a bit hard to do on a clock. How many days in the months? How many days in 1 month? 1 month has 28 days, but has 29 on a leap year. That is February. 4 months have 30 days in them. They are April, June, September and November. And 7 months have 31 days in them. They are January, March, May, July, August, October and December. How would I work out which amount of time is more or less? If I was trying to find out which amount of time was shorter out of these two, 1 hour and 20 minutes or 85 minutes, it is best to convert one amount of time into the same unit of time as the other. So, change hours to minutes or minutes to hours. I'll change the hours and minutes to minutes only. So the 1 hour and 20 minutes I'll change into just minutes. So look at 1 hour and 20 minutes. 1 hour is 60 minutes. So 60 minutes plus the extra 20 minutes makes 80 minutes altogether. Now you can compare the two. 80 minutes is 5 minutes less than 85 minutes. So 1 hour and 20 minutes is less than 85 minutes. How to convert units of time. To convert a smaller unit of time to a larger one, you divide or do what we call is repeated subtraction. So, seconds to minutes, you divide by 60 when you're changing seconds to minutes, or you take away 60 as many times as you can before you reach 0. Minutes to hours, we divide by 60 again, or subtract 60 as many times as we can before we reach 0. Hours to days, we divide by 24 because there are 24 hours in one day. Or we take away 24 as many times as we can before we reach 0. Days into weeks. Well, there are 7 days in a week, so we divide days by 7. Or we subtract 7 as many times as we can before we reach 0. To convert a larger unit of time to a smaller one, you multiply or do what we call repeated addition. Minutes to seconds. If I was having to change minutes into seconds, because there are 60 seconds for every minute, I multiply the number of minutes by 60, or I add 60 for each minute. That means if there was 3 minutes, I'd do 60 plus 60 plus 60. To change hours to minutes, we know that there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. So again, we multiply by 60, or we add 60 for each hour. To change days to hours, we know that there are 24 hours in one day. So we multiply the days by 24, or do 24 plus 24 for each day. Weeks to days. We know that there are 7 days in 1 week, so we have to multiply the number of weeks by 7, or we add 7 for each week. So we know that there are 60 seconds in a minute and 60 minutes in 1 hour. So how many seconds in 2 minutes? How can we work it out? Here are 2 ways to work it out. We could do 60 plus 60. That's 1 minute plus another minute because there are 60 seconds in each minute. Or we could do 60 times 2 because we have 2 minutes and 60 seconds in each one. They will both give you the answer of 120 seconds. What about how many minutes in 5 hours then? Well, we could do 60 plus 60 plus 60 plus 60 plus 60. And I'll show you a method for that shortly. Or we could do 60 times 5. Is what I would do? I know that 60 times 5 is 30. So if I did 60 times 5, that would equal 300. Let's practice some methods for converting times. If I want to know how many seconds there are altogether in 1 minute and 40 seconds, I have to remember that there are 60 seconds in 1 minute. So I would do 1 minute times 60, which is 60 seconds. Then I can add the 40 seconds to the 60 seconds, which tells me that I have 100 seconds altogether. This question is asking, if I have 130 minutes, how many hours would that be? I could do 130 minutes divided by 60, which is how many minutes there are in 1 hour, to get 2 hours and 10 minutes. But that might be a little bit tricky. The other method I could use for that question is using the jump strategy on a number line. So I rule my number line and I start with 130 down on the right hand side. Because I'm dividing, I have to work backwards. Same as if I was doing repeated subtraction, which is like division. So I start with 130 and I'm going to subtract 60 minutes to begin with because I know that is 1 hour. That will leave me 70 minutes out of my 130 left. Then I can subtract another 60, which will leave me with 10 minutes left. So I've now subtracted 2 hours. I can't subtract another whole hour because I only have 10 minutes left. So I just take away that 10 minutes to get to 0. Now I can see that I have 1 hour, 2 hours, and 10 minutes. So in 130 minutes, I have 2 hours and 10 minutes left over. This question is asking, how many seconds are there in 3 minutes and 15 seconds? Again, I'm going to use the jump strategy. So I draw my number line carefully with a ruler. I begin with 0 on the left-hand side this time because I'm adding on. I'm doing repeated addition or multiplication. I know that my first jump is 1 minute, which is 60 seconds. So I've made it to 60 on my number line. I'm now going to add another minute, which is another 60 seconds. So 60 plus 60 is 120. Now I'm going to add the third minute, which is another 60 seconds, and I have to add that 60 to the 120, and that gets me to 180. So I'm up to 180 seconds so far. Now I have 15 seconds left to add. So I need to do 180 plus 15 equals 195 seconds. So you can see that there are a number of different ways to work out different time conversions. You can use multiplication, division, jump strategy, and repeated addition or repeated subtraction. Make sure you choose one that works for you and that you understand.